What's going on, kindred spirits? Hopefully you all are doing well and doing you in the most bona fide way that you know how. So it's been on my mind for quite some time to talk about a subject that I think that we should bring more attention to. In this video message and this upload, what I would like to talk about is the emasculation or the effeminization of black males specifically. Black males specifically, because I do a lot of videos and I do a lot of content, and the things that I share is a lot about black people because, you know, it really goes without saying, but I know that, you know, the people that I relate to are also people that are outside of, you know, the black community. But obviously, because I am of African descent, right? Because I am a black woman and I have predominantly related to black people. Like I said, I that really goes without saying, but I say certain things because people like to make it seem as though because your focal point is mostly on a certain race of people or your people or people that look like you, that it's a problem, or that, you know, it's almost hard for me to even say because it's so, you know, it's so mindless to say that an individual will say that you're racist for, you know, talking about people that look like you, your people, or trying to encourage them, or, you know, what my agenda or my goal is in sending messages as it relates to the black community is always to uplift another brother or sister, to share information, but also to be a part of the black agenda, right? And if you're tapped in, then you know what the black agenda is, as far as, you know, our intentions to try to pretty much raise the race, the culture, community, all of the above. So I'm only saying that as almost as if I'm giving a disclaimer, but I don't plan on giving too many more disclaimers, right? Because people that know me, people that know Queen Bree, and they really rock with Queen Bree, they know what time it is with me, right? They know my heart, they know my intention. So there's not too many more disclaimers that I'm gonna give. If an individual don't understand why it is that I do what I do, if they can't read the energy and they don't know the intention well enough, then that's a them problem, and that's an issue that they're gonna need to take up with themselves, but also that's gonna be between them and God. That has nothing to do with me. It's more like a them problem, an internal problem. So back to the point of me wanting to do a video in regards to the emasculation, the effeminization of the black man, again, because, you know, I relate with the black community. So there's a lot of what we would like to call fuckery that's going on, right? And there is a lot of there's just a lot of real sketch stuff that's going on. People that are in prominent positions, it's almost like they're coming out of the woodworks, and they're coming out from under their rocks or coming out behind closed doors, and they feel more comfortable with being open and being themselves or exposing themselves before they get exposed. And that's cool, fine and dandy. But like I said in a previous upload, sometimes it's not what you do, but more so about how you do it. I mean, there is a standard, and there are laws of the universe, and there are standards and morals and principles for things. You know, for example, you know, there's the Christian faith and the 10 Commandments, and then there are the 42 laws of Mayat, just to give two, you know, separate, you know, laws of standards, right? But at the end of the day, I also understand that there is a people, and a lot of people, that really don't want you to tell them what to do. They don't want to be told what to do. And quite frankly, they're going to do what they want to do, especially behind closed doors, right? So, you know, I expressed in a previous upload how I really don't care, probably a few. I said that I really don't care as far as what people do behind closed doors, because that's their business. In one upload, I made it clear, I wanted to be clear that, you know, kids and animals really should be off limits, right? Because that's a whole nother level of psychosis or mental illness or psychological illness, right? But, you know, then there's the LGBTQ community or aspect, and I have there are people who are near and dear to me that are a part of said community, right? And then, you know, not to veer too much off topic, but I have a big heart, and I'm a lover of people, period. That's just who I am. And people who know me, really know me, like know me deeply, my energy and the way that I am, they know that I'm just a lover of people, right? But I am a black woman, and I love black people, right? I love black people more. And it shouldn't be hard for me to say that. It shouldn't take a lot for me to say that, because you would think that people would understand that. But some people really have a problem with that. But I'm gonna say that, and you know, it is what it is. I love black people, and I love myself. I love my mother. I love my father, and I love my family, and they all black. So excuse me for veering off topic, right? Apparently there's a lot that I want to say, and that I feel as though I need to say. You know, as far as the ways and behaviors of some of these black men, especially the ones that we initially perceive to be masculine men, right? Like rappers, for example, or people that are in the hip hop or music industry or the entertainment industry, right? To sum it up all in a nutshell. You know, whether that be R&B or rap, you know, we perceive them by looking at them and you know, the things that they share and what they project, we perceive them as masculine. But behind closed doors, it seems as though people are interested in other things, or more specifically, you know, behaviors that involve same sex. Now, like I said, I want to be clear when I say that what grown folks choose to do behind closed doors is not my business, and I quite frankly don't care. Outside of, you know, me just making that blatant statement, I believe that there are things that we should do as adults to be responsible and to be disciplined. But just, you know, keeping it short, sweet, and simple, and making a blanket statement, just plainly put, that I really don't care because it really does not concern me. I absolutely mean that, and I want to make that clear. But what I have a problem with is that these men who project themselves to be masculine, they do things behind closed doors, and then they're not being fully honest about it as far as their sexuality. And then it's like a confusion to where there are rappers or people in the industry that come out right and do some weird, questionable, or sketch stuff, the behaviors that they do, right? So I'm not the type of person that is big on saying, you know, big on saying celebrities' names or people in prominent positions, because I don't want to make it seem like that I am clout chasing, nor do I really want to give more power to what they're doing, that energy and the fuckery, right? So, like, I'm gonna say a few or a couple names just to really make my point more clearer, so that my viewers and the people who view my content and the people who listen to this will have a better understanding of where I'm going with this and what I mean. So there's characters like Ray J, who, you know, he He talked about on a Cam Newton podcast how he wanted to take a shower with someone. He wanted to take a shower with some guys or something like that. And then sometimes he'll make a joke about it, but it seems as though he's kind of like confused about his sexuality. But I think that anybody in their right mind, or people that are mature and really pay attention and know what's going on, know that there has to be some type of level of homosexual interest there, right? Or same-sex interest, right? Behaviors or whatever. He recently did, it was a video, or there was some type of clip where he was projecting in his energy or his behavior, his activity, that he was taking a shower, or that he wanted to take a shower or play with a man. So my thing is, when men are outright engaging in these behaviors where it becomes public, it's a bad representation for the children, and then it causes confusion for the children. Then, you know, there are different artists and different men who are expected, or at least have projected themselves to be masculine, who are wearing dresses and they're wearing skirts. So there are inquiring minds such as myself who wants to know, is there something, I mean, common sense, right, will tell us that we already know what time it is. We know that there is something that is going on behind the scenes that is causing the promotion of the effeminization of the black man, or this celebrity, or, you know, these particular individuals. But I'm saying the black man because these are black men. These are brothers, right? They're wearing dresses, they're wearing skirts. And some people may say, well, you know, it's all fun and games, and, you know, it's not that serious. And people say, oh, you're too serious. You need to hang loose, and you need to play a little. You need to live a little. You need to loosen up. There is a time and a place for everything. And like I said, sometimes it's not what you do, but how you do it. And I talked to someone, it's interesting because I spoke with someone who is very important to me, and we were having a conversation, and he actually said something that that I thought about before. How people in prominent positions, and these celebrities specifically, they will say things like, well, I'm not a role model, so you need to raise your kids. You need to be involved in your kids' life. I'm not a role model. I'm not their role model, so I shouldn't be held accountable, which is a cop-out, and which is a coward move, because at the end of the day, your intentions is to share this content. Your intentions is to share this music. Your intentions is to share this media, so you know the consequences of you sharing that. You know that there's always the potentiality that it will get viewed by a youngster, right? So that's what my issue is with it. Because, you know, people should be free to love who they want to love, but when you are doing certain things, and we're constantly incorporating, or should I say they are constantly incorporating sexuality into everything, makes it a problem. So then the kids become confused. Now, I have nephews and I have godsons, so, you know, I wouldn't want my godsons or my nephews to be confused about what they're seeing. Because naturally, the majority of the population naturally has come up in households with a mother and a father, and that's just natural. I have no issue with, again, who one choose to love, or specifically the whole LGBTQ aspect or the community. I have no issue with that. The issue that I have with people and sexuality is when adults, when they mix it with children, when they put children in the equation. And other than that, I don't think that many of us really have an issue with, you know, the LGBTQ community, or who people choose to love, right? So, you know, there was Uncle Snoop. He made a statement, and he was saying how he went to the movies. He took his grandchild to the movies, and he said that his grandson was saying, why is it that this kid has two moms? How does she have the baby when it's two moms? So the kid, his grandbaby, was was confused by it. And then he gets backlash from it, which I don't feel like he should get backlash from it, when really it's a legitimate concern. When my child was in kindergarten, she asked me what a lesbian was. Now, for the majority of the population, when kids are in kindergarten, they're 5 years old. Why is it that I had to have a conversation with my daughter about what a lesbian is? I felt like it was just too young, but I took the initiative to make sure that I had a conversation with her, an appropriate conversation with my 5-year-old at the time, in regards to what lesbians are. But what people tend to forget is that even though they may choose to love who they want to love, and the whole LGBTQ aspect, when we are talking about what the children are exposed to and how it is influenced on them, we're not talking about just a way of life and, oh, freedom of this and freedom of that. We're literally talking about sexuality. And sexuality and children are not supposed to go in the same equation. It's not supposed to go in the same topic, subject. Sexuality shouldn't be influenced with children. So it should not be encouraged amongst the children, because when sexuality, even in the LGBTQ aspect, when it is influenced, when it is exposed to the children, we call that grooming. Because then a child doesn't have a chance to choose on their own, because they're getting influenced by someone else. And I'm not going to get too deep into whether people are born that way or not, or whatever. I don't want to make it seem as though I'm harping on, the LGBTQ community, or that this video is so much about them, because like I said, I don't have an issue with it. My issue is that people are irresponsibly behaving in certain type of ways that is causing confusion amongst the children, right? Whether that be straight people that are over sexualized, or overly outwardly showing expressions of affection that is just doing too much, or if it is people who are amongst the the LGBTQ community, and they're sharing content, books and things in school, and there should be conversations that should be had with the parents, instead of saying, well, a lot of people make the excuse that they're sharing these things so that children that may come from those households, or children that may be secretly feeling that certain type of way, that they will feel comfortable. But the thing is because it is, and I don't want to offend anybody, but the way that I feel is that because it is so unnatural, and because the other children are predominantly in households that are raised with a mother and a father, it creates and it influences a lot of confusion. And that's where the problem come into play. So with the whole wearing the dresses and, the expressions of homosexual behavior outwardly in the media and things like that, it's like effeminizing the black man, or kind of like back in the day, way back when, right, when during the time when they were doing the LYNCHING and things like that, when they were castrating the brothers, right, when they were castrating some of our ancestors. It's kind of like the same thing, because the woman and the man is the head of the household, right? And nation building and kingdom, it starts with community and the household. But if a race is totally converted, or is influenced and turned into the majority same sex, who really reproduces and makes the babies, right? So as we know, black folks, we reproduce like rabbits, right? It's not nothing new, and it's not a secret. We reproduce like rabbits. So if the black man is effeminized, and he's no longer interested in his woman, and is no longer interested in heading his household and being a proper leader and being guided by God and doing all the things that God put him here to do, who is the black woman going to reproduce with? Right? And then on top of that, so let me paint a broader picture for you. If you have an enemy, right? Say that you have an enemy, whether that be a blatant enemy, outright or covert, and your enemy is at a constant war with you for hundreds to thousands of years. Let's just say hundreds of years, right? Your enemy has been at war with you for, say, 400, 500, 600 years. And he wants to weaken you, and he wants to win the battle. He will do everything in his power to win that battle, right? Including to strip you of your manhood, right? Because you need testosterone and you need some type of masculinity and things to win a war against your enemy. But if you take on, as a man, you take on the role of your woman, then that makes you weaker, does it not? So you see where I'm going with this, right? And this video and this message, it may offend some, but I just want to give another disclaimer that I want to say, you know, I'm a very loving person. I have a big heart, but I'm not for everybody. You know, I'm loved by many, but I may be an acquired taste for some. I'm loved and liked by many, for others not so much. So there's going to be some people that find this video very controversial, but when people speak truth, and especially if your enemy is one of the viewers or one of the people that are in the audience, of course they're not going to like it. But my message is about truth, right? About truth and love, right? The absolute truth, but for the love of not only myself, my mother, my father, my family, my nephews, my godsons, and for God's sake, all of my sons, if you will, right? As a black woman, if there are individuals who choose to engage in same-sex behaviors and they're adults, fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not judging you. My problem, again, is when people are irresponsible with their sexuality, right? We should not be letting our preferences and our activities influence children. If it's not children being exposed to over-sexualization amongst straight people and all of just the, you know, just the craziness and the wild nature and the wild culture, then they're being subjected to people that want to influence their mind to like or to want to experiment with someone of the same sex. When you grown and you can make sound decisions, you're entitled to your sexuality and how you move and who you do that with. Hopefully people are, you know, engaging responsibly. But when we talk about children, as I said before in previous upload, the children is our responsibility as adults, because if they're not our responsibility, then whose responsibility is it? And if we don't protect the children, then humanity is in serious trouble. We're in a serious crisis because not enough people are talking about the well-being and the safety of the children. You can be an adult, you can make your money, you can have fun, you can do the things that make you happy, but when you do it and you don't think about the consequences or who you might be influencing, and at the least bit you don't think about other people's children, and you don't even think about your children, that says a lot about your character. And you know, how dare people come for Snoop when all he was doing was expressing how he felt about inside, how he was frustrated about the fact that he felt he had to answer a question about two women raising a baby with his grandson. And people came for him. You know, it's just the entitlement. The entitlement is despicable, and quite frankly is highly annoying, very annoying. he's coming for us and he's disrespecting us, and I'm offended because he said that we shouldn't have to have these conversations with the kids. Why are you mad about someone expressing their frustration with something that's not natural? As a lot of people would. A lot of people would express themselves in the same way. Because again, it's unnatural. And who wants to have that conversation with their child in a movie theater? So, which of the brothers or the black men are going, where does the line be drawn? Where is the line drawn where they're saying, you can't give me enough money, you can't do 1 through 3 or A through Z with me, I'm not selling my soul, I'm not compromising my integrity or my character for you to make you feel good, or because it's a kiki and ha ha, and then I'm gonna show my sons and my daughters that, you know, daddy can put on a dress, or uncle can put on a dress, or big brother can put on a dress. That creates confusion in the children. So there is a lot of weird stuff going on. I love to have fun. I love to love on everybody. I love to be, oh, you're free spirit and we should love one another and everybody should be happy and we should be happy to do what makes us, we should be free to do what makes us happy and do what we want to do. Especially, you know, a lot of people that have the mindset of, I pay the cost to be the boss. But where is the line drawn, and where are people, who are people responsible to? Who are people accountable to? Who do people answer to? Because people get a certain level of, they get a certain level of notoriety, and they get a certain level of viewership and following and money and power, and they feel as though they are exempt from being held accountable. Who are people held accountable to? Like for me, I know that, you know, I answer to God, simply put. I answer to the Most High. But when people don't have guidance, even in their old age, right? Because these people are grown. These are grown folks we're talking about. When they don't have the proper guidance and leadership, they don't have the proper community, they don't have anybody that's strong enough to put their foot down and tell them, you need to stop the clown shit, because you out here clowning and you look like a damn fool, and you're making not only yourself, your family, your community, and then people that don't know any better, you make the people that look like you look bad. You know, and then they'll turn around and say, oh, but those aren't my people, and, you know, I'm not a role model. And it's really a cop-out. It's a cop-out so that people do not have to be held accountable, and then they could just do whatever under God's son that they want to. And it's a shame. It's a shameful God, because it's not helping the young folks. It's creating a lot of confusion, distortion, and discord. And then, you know, people think that you don't have to be serious. So while everybody is clowning and joking around and tap dancing and everything, your enemy is plotting against you the whole time, non-stop, right? Because these things have been going on since before the conception of a me, before I was conceived, right? Before you was conceived, right? Before a lot of us were conceived. So it seems as though humanity, but then also, you know, our community, have a lot of growing up to do. Because again, there's a time and a place for everything. People want to party, they want to party like a rock star. You know, you want to party hard. That's your prerogative. You should be able to do that. You work hard, play hard. But there should be boundaries. And there are certain things that should happen only in certain spaces. And I don't think that homosexual behaviors should be exposed to children. I'm not talking about same-sex parents in the household, because there's already children that have the same-sex parents in households. I'm talking about the behaviors, the activities and the behaviors. Kids, young kids, children, they're at a very impressionable age. So they see something and they think that it's cool and they run with it, especially somebody that is a big influence, somebody that their community may like. They see it, they think, oh, that looks cool, or that's what's trendy, that's what's popping, I want to do that. And people, you know, these people in prominent positions and celebrity status, or, you know, they think, oh yeah, it's all good. Oh, you know, I'm not their role model. Raise your kids. What a cop out. How coward in nature is that? So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that is gonna be called out, and there's a lot of stuff that should be called out, because people want to be free to be themselves, and they want to do it loosely. And you should be free to be yourself. And the people that rock with your energy, your frequency, and your wave, they're going to show up and they're going to catch up. But we have a responsibility. So I say again, as adults, we have a responsibility to protect the children, right? And unless you are a part of the group of people and these people in these covert organizations and these nasty demonic individuals, unless you're a part of them that are doing little, you know, covert stuff behind the scenes, and, you know, the sex trafficking, and, you know, the things that they're doing, all of the horrible things that they are doing with the children, unless you are a part of the problem, then you shouldn't take issue with this message. And you shouldn't have a problem with checking yourself or checking people of the like that's doing this unacceptable behavior, and saying, hey, we need to pump the brakes, we need to do it different. And if we're going to engage in pleasurable things, then we need to make sure that we keep it, you know, we keep it amongst ourselves, and that we keep it away from the children, and that we protect the children from it. And then they wonder why it's a generation of such hard-headed, confused individuals, because the world and on a smaller level, a lot of our communities don't have proper leadership. So no, I don't think it's funny. I don't think that it's funny for any rapper to go around wearing a dress or a skirt. And I don't think that it's funny for entertainers to do homosexual stuff where the other children can see it. It's time for us to grow the fuck up. I apologize if I offended anybody, but, you know, I needed to get that off my chest. And again, these are things that really need to be talked about. So, you know, if you're rocking with the message, if you're rocking with my energy, just know that, you know, I got a lot of love for my people, and I love you a lot. I only want the best for people, and I really, really, really want to protect the kids, right? Because if nobody talks, nobody speaks for them, and nobody is a voice for them, and nobody protects them, then who will? So I hope that folks take heed to the message, and may we all do better. Ashe.